And we are live here at EarthX 2025. It is a beautiful day here in Dallas, Texas at the Hilton Anatole. And we got a special guest right here. This is our friend Bruce Brimacombe. Give him a round of applause, y'all. And before we get into the fun stuff about GOe3 and all the great things that you've been doing since God knows when, because you are a veteran in this game. You're from my neck of the woods. You are from the Rocky Mountain-esque region, kind of the mountain zone.
You, but
yeah, a little south, right? Mm-hmm. Arizona, man. So thank you very much for coming on out here, sir.
Thank you.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about GOe3 and what your company does.
Well, when we first started this, I'm going to tell a little anecdote. I was a little boy walking through the mountains of Appalachians with my scoutmaster.
Okay.
And he took us through this route. There was a whole bunch of railroad tracks.
Mm-hmm.
And in those railroad tracks, there was tunnels and everything that went through them. I learned a lesson about America at that point. There had been so many, best way to say it, so many people trying to take control of the railroads that all these tracks were abandoned because they fought over one thing, the width of the railroad. They wanted to own it. All this money was wasted, all this time was wasted, and we still have not learned that lesson.
Wow.
Who amongst you has had a drawer full of cell phone plugs that don't fit?
Right.
Same thing went with electric cars. I knew that was going to happen from the beginning because people are greedy. They want to take over everything, and then nobody can do something of this magnitude by themselves. There has to be some agreement of what we're going to do. Yes, we can compete, but not in a situation to where consumers have to make a decision to which one to bet on. Big one, video was Betamax and VHS.
Oh, yeah.
Every one of you felt the pain of that to some degree or another.
I did.
So if we continue to let this kind of consumerism go, we're going to end up with a bunch of wasted resources and way behind the curve of getting anything done. And that was one of the things that bothered me. So I knew from the beginning there was going to be a battle of the plugs, but not of the slow chargers. They all agreed on one plug for the slow chargers, but the houses were where everybody needed to plug them anyway. They didn't market to them. They marketed to the big companies, and they put in these fast chargers that had, at the time, 3 different plugs. Now it's 5. One's about to go away, and then we're going to be going into which country's going to dominate. And I'm pretty well sure at this point who's going to win, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The point is that we've got to be smarter as consumers. We shouldn't back up all this divisiveness in the way technology is enforced. We really have. We got to be smarter as consumers, and that's what we started with. E3 was empower, enrich, and evolve, being somebody who could think through the decisions, and actually the third level of power. So level 1 was a plug into your house, the regular one, 10 volt. Level 2 is your 240 drive volt. And then you have your level 3, which is a tri-phase. So that was what we decided to call the company, was GOe3, and that's where we started. Now.
Yeah, no, thank you for breaking that down. And for those who are unfamiliar with the term E3, could you kind of dive into that for us a little bit?
Well, we were trying to develop something that stayed in touch with what they were at the time. They were calling chargers, which was level 1, level 2, and level 3.
Right.
And we came up with this thing that consumers needed to be empowered. And if we needed to be able to travel the country the way we used to,
right,
we had to be able to make sure that the situation was the same. We couldn't put consumers, as they have been, in confusion. Where to plug into, how to plug in, and who's going to do it. We have been negotiated, and something that was our invention originally has been made a political football that can't even begin to describe.
Right.
And it doesn't need to be that way. Consumers don't need to go to places they weren't used to. When they first round of government funds come out, they were putting them behind dumpsters. And the thing, consumers didn't know what to do, and therefore there's been this range anxiety, which today is still happening.
I see.
Okay, so we just decided we had to get people to empower themselves, enrich, and evolve. That was the whole part of it.
I got it. So it seems like what you do is kind of streamline and uniform the kind of outlets and chargers that we're going to be using anyway. Is that an accurate description?
That's correct. The bi-directional home chargers brain simple. You shouldn't have to have the thought that I have to have something that goes back and forth.
Right.
I lost 2 friends in the Dallas freeze. That's what I call it.
Oh man.
And it shouldn't have happened.
Yeah. And it's,
They shouldn't have had the power go down. We've got no problem of generating power in America. Don't let anybody ever think you do. Well, a gallon of gasoline takes 33.4 kilowatts hours of electricity to create, cradle to grave. That same 33.4 kilowatts of electricity will run an electric car 100 miles.
wow.
So it's not an impact of the grid. What we have is a failure of distribution. We cannot get the power to where it needs to go. That's what caused the Dallas freeze.
That's very a poignant example of the human cost of our inefficiencies in technology. So that seems to be your passion place right there, sir, because at the back of all of this is the consumer experience and reducing the impact on the environment. And so what I wanted to ask you is, what role do you think planned obsolescence plays in the inefficiency of these outlets?
Well, the planned obsolescence in EVs is a foolish endeavor.
Yeah.
Because electric motor is an electric motor.
Right.
Yeah, you can make them a little bit more efficient here, but it's going to end up, you're going to have a bunch of skateboards, maybe 5 different models, small car, mid car, on and on. And then you're going to have people who specialize in making the bells and whistles, the way the car looks, and that's all going to be gone. Self-driving cars, don't kid yourself, are here, and they're not going to go away. The amount of money they save in danger and injuries and repairs is going to fall through the floor. So it's being driven by insurance, it's being driven by efficiencies. The point is, Americans have got to be awake of what we need to do.
Absolutely. And so what would you say is the biggest obstacle from getting that knowledge out there so that people can make smarter consumer choices in this area?
Well, the biggest obstacle is ourselves. We're trying to make things a little bit more complicated than they need to be.
Okay.
And partisan than they need to be.
Right.
The gain for this is electric cars will make electricity as fluid and movable as water, which is a really big thing. Because if we can, instead of having everybody having a generator at home that they forget to take maintenance of, and they go when the power goes out, nothing works.
Right.
You can actually create a division of trailers that can go where the power goes out and plug in. The whole thing is you need to understand what we generate at night, 32% on the average is thrown away. Is everybody familiar with that?
I hadn't heard that before.
Okay, because there's so much power it takes to keep the grid up.
Right.
We don't use it, so they ground it. Now, the ideal thing would be to put it in cars, have them come into the city, plug into their bi-directional charger, and when the demand takes, pull it off the cars. Don't run dirty generators. All these things are good business models. If you think about them, you generate it once, you get paid for it twice.
Wow.
Makes sense from a business point of view.
Right.
But again, that control, that trying to direct,
Yes.
is too powerful for some people to overcome.
So what is GOe3 doing specifically to attack that gap in power, specifically from the power grid to the consumer? Do you have any product that you're innovating? Is there something
Yeah,
that's
our
coming up?
bi-directional home charger and our microgrid. The microgrids, you've heard, some of you may have heard a little bit
Break
about
down
them.
microgrids, because that sounds fun.
We have a 20-foot container that'll power 25 houses.
Wow.
And we're using tiny homes as an example here. We put the microgrid down. It has 5 different generation technologies in it.
Wow.
On-demand hydrogen, solar and wind, and the 4th one is I call it my little nuclear power plant, but it's not. It's a microwave oven boiling water.
Yeah.
So
Right.
we generate water and put it in. It's all in one little 20-foot container. The left side has about 250 kW of batteries against the wall, and it flushes back and forth.
Okay.
So I can put a bi-directional charger in a home, car plugs in, it can stay up when the power goes down for 10 days. These power walls they're selling usually will give you about 1.5. There's no need in having power walls if you have a properly developed system. The whole gain we're going to have out of this is building microgrids to support electric cars maybe, but to have a more stable grid and one that can come up and protect us.
That's amazing. So have you encountered any obstacles from already established power corporations, generators, and whatnot? And if so, what does that look like?
Well, the thing that's bothersome to me is we have 3,000 little gods in this country. And
3,000, pardon me, what?
Little gods.
Oh, yeah.
Utilities.
Yeah.
And none of them want to work together, and they don't want to understand we got a mission to make this country safe, not an oligarchy of utilities.
Yeah,
We just can't have that. It just can't happen anymore. We're beyond it, and if we don't take control of it, I don't mean making it some idealistic of socialism or something like that. I mean, to just be honest and think the problems. We're too busy trying to get a little sign about and react to it instead of actually thinking through what's actually happening. That's what the consumer's got to get more involved in what's happening and understand that everything we do has a cause and result.
Right.
Including the way we pay for things.
So when I run for president, I know who my energy secretary is going to be. And these are the kind of things that we often don't think about. So who do you think between industry and consumer is going to have to take up the most responsibility for changing this to a more efficient way? Is it going to be business or is it going to be?
Well, the way I would look at it is we have these utilities that have too much control. I'll give you an example. When I was a young boy, we had box fans, okay?
Yes, yes we did.
We had box fans because they didn't have enough power to get to the houses. This is like this. When in the 60s, we had 25 kW transformers of power between 4 and 5 houses. I know that's a little general, but that's the way it really was. And then they got mandated to move them to 75 kW. So that's why we have internal housing and air conditioning. Next level comes, we've got a lot of computers, a lot of things have added over the time. We've been in need to go to 150 kWs per house for a long time.
Wow.
And quite frankly, without being too critical, the power companies have billed us for them. They're in the rate base, but they haven't put them in.
Okay.
So when the power is being called for by the houses, it starts trying to shove a whole bunch of water through a bitty hose. And that's what basically causes the brownouts and blackouts eventually. So we've got to understand that when we build something, we have to build something and maintain it, not make it. Utilities shouldn't be in the profit level that they are. They should be in a quasi, we've got to supply these utilities and nobody should starve to death. These things are very easily done without having to pick a political ideology.
Right, so it seems like the polarized climate that we live in right now in this country, we ain't got to go into that, but we know it's polarized, seems to be one of the biggest problems for generating the political will necessary on the voter side. Do you see a way through that? And if so, what should we focus on rather than what's got us divided?
We should really focus on thinking, having good discussions. Debate isn't conquering. Debate is discussion and digging into a subject. If we choose debate to be a matter of dominating, you're going to get some really strong people who can go and crush, but it doesn't need to be that way.
Yeah.
It needs to be you take an idea and you expand on it. Absolutely using your intellect to the most ability doesn't mean you have to be a rocket scientist to do it. It means you have to think. Never accept the sound bites because they're always wrong.
Right. So this sounds like to me, we've got a lot of work to do as consumers, not only in advocating for these technologies, but kind of figuring out a way past the polarization and having conversations with people who we don't necessarily agree with. And this is a key area that's not often talked about when it comes to how we address the future of energy and climate. And it all starts with us. And we've got a great prophet here to tell us the way. And it is our brother Bruce. Can we give him a round of applause?
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing with us. But before you go, how do we find you? What is the best place on the web that we can look up the work that you're doing?
CEO at GOe3 is my email.
CEO at GOe3.com or
.com.
Okay.
We also have a economic system built into it. It's called cmtycoin.org.
Wow.
But look at it as .info and you'll find out a whole lot of information. We have to support the local communities of where these at. Too many of the locations are buried in the middle of nowhere. Nobody can do anything but just sit there and wait.
Yeah.
So,
well, he's on the blockchain, y'all.
Yep.
This man is in the future already. Thank you so much, Brother Bruce.
Thank you. Thank you.
You've been great today.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.